Thank you so much. Okay. Camille, we now have your card, and you have several people who have ceded time, so you'll have 10 minutes. And you have ceded time from Frank Peterson, Barbara, and Alicia Marks, and Daniel Commode.
I'd like to request your indulgence in that. I have laryngitis, and I have a friend who, if my voice completely gives out, she could read my comments. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay, that's Alicia Maris, and she's going to be passing things to you as I speak. And if my voice gives out, I'll be the passer and she'll be the speaker. I want to tell you the rest of the story, because there's a lot more to this. And I've been doing a lot of homework, and it was homework that needed to be done. And I've gotten some answers for you directly from the Energy Commission. I believe, why should the city of Ventura adopt a code that's so much more restrictive than the state's measures? Why would you impose that on our citizens? We're on a perilous and potentially illegal path by requiring more than the state requires in an environment that is so desperate for more affordable housing. I've never argued that people with enough money can get whatever they want. These newly enriched citizens are not the poor living from paycheck to paycheck, hanging on by their fingernails, for whom the program was intended. Granny flats fill that vacuum between homelessness and public housing. The best-selling book, Divide, explains how policies... I'm sorry. Should I hold off? It's okay. Okay. The best-selling book, Divide, explains how policies like this second unit program make the rich richer and the poor more poor. It's simple. When a poor person gets her back against the wall without a financial cushion, she gives up her assets. Those with the wherewithal acquire them. This second unit program is a classic example of how we exacerbate this divide. Please read that book. It's on NPR. It's really good. People are desperate for affordable housing, and we have it available at no cost to the city. These units have served us for decades, and they're at risk of destruction by our own hand when we're fighting homelessness. Barbara Pedswaiter just took in 2 tenants from Kingdom Center, filling the vacuum between homelessness and public housing. Tonight I'm just giving you the facts and documents, and they speak for themselves. Pushing people past what the state requires is a very slippery slope, especially when it impacts protected groups, and that is precisely what has been done. It speaks loudly that Mr. Stuffler has not been able to get any support in writing from the California Energy Commission. We have, and I'll get to that. Could you give number 1 to the... All right. This didn't start with the state. It started, the first time it came up was in a personal email from someone who had actually gone through the program with their own granny flat, only having to comply with the safety codes. And he had a relationship with a housing developer, and now that granny flats are being recognized by the state to fulfill low-income RHNA requirements, granny flats might take some of those allocations from affordable housing developers. And there's a copy of that email. I blacked out his name to protect his privacy. In February, Mr. Stuffler did not phone the Housing and Community Development Department in Sacramento, but used an ambiguous email from the HCD as his excuse that the state mandated the energy codes. For clarification, I called the author of the email, Mr. Huff, Sean Huff at the HCD. He sounded quite incensed, stating twice, "Your city attorney is misinformed. Only the safety codes are retroactive, and his department has nothing to do with the energy codes. Has it now become more important for the staff to make itself right than do the right thing? Pass number 2. Here's that email. At this point, Mr. Stuffler could have dropped the energy code requirement, as the other cities have, like Sierra Madre, but that might have required the admission of a mistake. The next months were spent hithering and thithering for loopholes, and one can always find them if one looks hard enough. It's called spin. Our attorneys contacted the General Counsel of the California Energy Department, and they were advised that the 25402H applied to our situation in Ventura. And I give you a copy of that. Basically, it says they only apply to new construction. These have been here for decades. So read a copy of that law. If you want to conform to the laws, and we keep saying we want to conform to the laws, there's the law that we were given by the California Energy Commission. Now in December, Mr. Stuffler promised he would return January 13th with written direction from the California Energy Commission. The silence from the CEC speaks volumes. I decided to call the chair of the California Energy Commission, Mr. Robert Weisenmiller, myself, and ask for clarification while voicing our concerns about losing affordable housing due to the overreach on the energy codes. I now give you that email string from its beginning in Chair Weisenmiller's office, the California Energy Commissioner's office. And let's go through this together, since it's only written direction. This is the only written direction that we have been able to acquire. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. The comment from the California Energy Commission and Chair Robert Weisenmiller's executive assistant was quite telling. Quote, "The requirements for Ventura may be more stringent than those of the state." And I tell you that sums it up. And why would we do such a thing when trying to create affordable housing at no cost to the city? Ms. Geisler from the Efficiency Division is the best person to address the concerns. So I talked to her by phone and email. She forwarded my email to Hamed Amuzgar, who heads the Title 24 hotline. He called me on the morning of April 17th. We had a long discussion, during which I took copious notes. At the end of the conversation, I asked him if I could send him my notes and for his additional input on my notes or corrections. He agreed. So there you have it, right in front of you. Written clarification from the California Energy Commission. I direct your attention to number 4. An item covered by the energy codes is considered an alteration. So that means if you're getting a hot water heater, that's an alteration. And I think this is where some of the confusion comes in. We think, oh, they altered it. Well, they upgraded something. Item number 5, he said, alterations are when a change to a component of the building is done for which we have requirements for in the energy code. Whether it be the envelope, mechanical, water heating, or lighting, the component itself, such as the wall heater or lighting fixture, is only considered to be an alteration once it is intended to change it. Number 6, an alteration does not trigger the upgrading of the entire envelope of the building. It only applies to the component being replaced. Correct, he said. Only the component being altered must meet the energy code in effect at that time. Then we go to number 9. Under the Title 24, Section 8, any buildings considered historic by state standards, not local standards, are exempt from the energy codes. Exception 1 to Section 100 states the following: qualified historic buildings as regulated by the California Historic Building Code, Title 24. And we have that package for you. Those buildings or alterations that are regulated by Title 24, Part 8 are exempt from complying with the Energy Code's Title 24, Part 6. Again, we have a situation of overreach in 2 areas. of the state's definition and opinion from the Office of Historic Preservation. They opine a property's legality has nothing to do with its historic value. Mr. Ward says it does, and it must be compliant to all zoning laws. I wonder about the Alamo. This could chill the landmark process in Ventura. The state's definition of historic is in section 18955. You have a copy. Well, in summary, we are overreaching by forcing the energy codes on existing buildings, whether residential or not, according to 25204H. And why are we doing this? It's not necessary. Other people are not doing it. We got one set of rules for the wealthy and another set of rules for the poor, and it stinks.
Thank you. Michael Urch, and I think Jim McCaslin came back in, is that right?